The day my son told me to leave my own house, I realized I had already lost him long before that moment. He stood in the living room with his wife beside him. Her arms were crossed. His eyes never met mine. "Mom," he said quietly, "Emily and I think it's better if you find another place to live." For a second, I honestly thought he was joking. "This is my house, Daniel." "I know," he whispered, "but we're trying to start our own family. We need space." Emily finally spoke. "And honestly, your constant opinions make this house stressful." I looked around the room I'd spent 28 years paying for. Every wall held memories of birthdays, Christmas mornings, scraped knees, and late-night homework sessions. I had raised Daniel there after his father died. Now I was being asked to leave it. If you've ever watched someone you love slowly become a stranger, tell me, what hurt the most? The strange thing wasn't Daniel's words. It was how rehearsed they sounded, almost as if someone had practiced them with him. I didn't argue. Sometimes fighting only gives people permission to treat you worse. I walked upstairs, packed one suitcase, collected a few family photos, and quietly left through the front door. Neither of them stopped me. Not once. As I drove away, my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "I'm sorry. This is just what has to happen right now." I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then I deleted it. That night I checked into a small hotel on the other side of town. For the first time in decades, there was no family dinner to cook. No one asking where I was. No one wondering if I had made it safely. The silence was louder than any argument. Around midnight, my attorney, Michael, called. "I heard what happened. I'll be fine." There was a pause. "Are you ready to do what we discussed last year?" I closed my eyes. Last year, after a minor heart scare, Michael had encouraged me to update every legal document I had. Back then, I never imagined I'd actually need those papers. Now, everything felt different. I took a deep breath. "Yes," I said. "It's time." What Daniel didn't know was that one decision I made the next morning would completely change all of our lives. And in just 3 days, he and Emily would be standing at my door, begging for a second chance. The next morning I walked into Michael's office carrying nothing but my suitcase and a folder filled with old family papers. He didn't waste time. "Are you absolutely certain?" he asked. I nodded. For years I kept believing Daniel would remember who we used to be. Yesterday proved he already made his choice. Michael slid several documents across the desk. "The house is legally yours. So are your savings, investments, and the family trust. No one can force you out." I signed the first page, then the second, then the last. When it was over, Michael placed the folder back in front of me. "From today forward," he said, "no one has access to your finances or your property without your written permission." For the first time in months, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Control. I wasn't taking revenge. I was protecting myself. That afternoon, Michael sent Daniel a formal legal notice. It wasn't cruel. It simply explained one fact. Since I had never transferred ownership of the house, they were living there only because I had allowed it. That permission was now withdrawn. They had 72 hours to leave. Less than an hour later, Daniel called. "Mom, what is this?" "It's the truth. You can't be serious." "I am." Emily grabbed the phone. "You're trying to punish us because we asked for privacy." "No," I answered calmly. "You asked me to leave my own home. I'm simply choosing to live in it again." She hung up. The next 2 days were filled with angry messages, then silence. On the third morning, I drove back to the neighborhood. The moving truck was parked outside. Furniture covered the lawn. Daniel stood in the driveway looking exhausted. Emily was arguing with the truck driver because they still hadn't found another place to live. For the first time, I saw fear on both of their faces. Not because of me, because reality had finally caught up with the choices they had made. Daniel looked up and spotted my car. He hurried toward me, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "Mom, please, can we talk?" I rolled down the window but didn't answer. Then Emily slowly walked over too. The confidence she'd worn just 3 days earlier was completely gone. Daniel swallowed hard. "We made a terrible mistake." I looked at both of them for a long moment. What they didn't realize was that I had already made one final decision the night before, and after they heard it, nothing in our family would ever be the same. I stepped out of the car and looked at my son. He looked nothing like the confident man who had asked me to leave 3 days earlier. His shoulders were slumped. His voice shook. "Mom, I'm sorry." Emily lowered her eyes. "I was wrong," she said quietly. "I thought we needed distance. I never imagined we'd lose everything." I took a slow breath. This was never about the house. They both looked confused. It was about respect. For years I had helped with bills, repairs, and groceries. I watched your children when you needed me. I opened my home without asking for anything in return. But the moment my presence became inconvenient, you treated me like I didn't belong. Daniel wiped away a tear. "I know." "No," I said gently. "Now you understand. There's a difference." Michael arrived a few minutes later with a small envelope. Inside was a copy of the updated estate plan I had signed 3 days earlier. Daniel stared at it. "I removed you as the person responsible for my estate." His face went pale. "But I didn't give it to someone else." He looked up. "I donated a large portion of it to charities that help widowed parents, children's education, and housing programs. The rest will support my own retirement so I never have to depend on anyone again." Neither of them spoke. "I didn't do this to hurt you," I continued. "I did it because love without boundaries becomes permission for people to take you for granted." Daniel finally broke down. "I don't care about the money anymore. I hope that's true." He took one careful step forward. "I just want my mother back." For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then I hugged my son. Not because everything was fixed, but because forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. Forgiveness can begin in a moment. Trust must be earned over time. Months later, our relationship slowly improved. Daniel and Emily found a small apartment. They both found better jobs. They started making time to visit, not because they needed something, but because they genuinely wanted to. And every visit began with a simple knock on my front door. No one walked in uninvited again. No one forgot whose home it was. More importantly, no one forgot the value of respect, because the strongest revenge isn't taking everything from someone. It's refusing to lose yourself while they face the consequences of their own choices. So let me ask you, if someone you loved chose convenience over loyalty, could you forgive them, or would you walk away for